Vinny, Jeffrey, Drew, Tom. How we doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Getting my steps in this morning. Got to eat that frog first.
There we go. Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
How about you, man?
Good. We're gonna have a little bit of an interactive activity today. So we'll be doing things together, and we'll do a discussion. And this is something that is gonna really have a huge impact on your life. And how I discovered this was when me and Gabe, we were traveling around the country basically and meeting up with a lot of mentors of ours. And this time we flew out to Vegas to meet out with Tyler Tote. A lot of you guys may be familiar with him. The most positive man on Twitter is what a lot of people call him. And so we meet up with him and we're just kind of walking the Vegas Strip. And he declares something. He says something out loud that kind of catches our attention because no one says this. No one ever says this. He says, "I am the happiest man alive." And he says it with so much conviction, so much certainty. We're like, okay, he obviously he's telling the truth. He believes it. He's living it 100%. And so later that day, we stop at the finest establishment in town, of course, Chipotle. We sit down and we have some good conversation. And he tells us about inputs and how this is something that he's so strict with. And so if you know him, you've seen him post about how he's, cut off his cable subscriptions, Netflix, things like that. And he's extremely strict with this stuff of the information, the content that he lets into his mind. And so what we're going to do today is break down and really look at what are your inputs, whether that's on social media, whether it's music, podcasts, TV, what are we taking in that's subconsciously influencing our mind, our beliefs, and maybe creating limiting beliefs, maybe creating negative thoughts that we don't really realize. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. So number one, all right, first thing we're going to do, everyone has permission to take out their phone today. You're going to take out your phone and you're going to go on your social media. All right, whatever you're on the most. So if you're on Twitter all the time, go on Twitter. If you're on Instagram all the time, open that up. And we're going to take a look at who are you following. All right, so I want us to take a few minutes here, scroll through who you're following and stop when you see an account or someone that you follow that, brings a lot of negative energy or, kind of a victim mentality to your feed. All right, so take a moment and let's scroll through who we're following. And when you find someone that's not really a good fit for your inputs, go ahead and click that unfollow button. All right, so let's take a few minutes to do this. One thing you could do, by the way, let's say this someone who's kind of a negative input is like family member or friend or something. You don't want to unfollow them, be kind of awkward. Uh, most time on social media, they have a mute function. All right, so you can mute their content, so you basically don't see it on your feed. So that's something you can do to avoid, any weirdness between someone who's like close in your life that you can't really avoid. I got a few of those for me, so.
How can you mute their text messages?
Oh, text messages, that's a good one. Is it a one-on-one text message or a group chat?
It's my mother.
Your mother, man. Ooh, that's a big one.
If you're on iPhone, you can
Big
set
one.
their conversation to do not disturb. You can do that. So
Oh, I'm aware. I know that, but then you didn't respond to me,
oh yeah.
or you didn't. It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. That's a good situation. We're gonna talk about that too. How do we deal with those people who are close to us, family, people that we live with that bring us that negative energy? How do we approach that? Because it's a difficult situation. All right, how is everyone doing on their following list? Have you been able to scroll through and unfollow some accounts? All right, I just finished up here. I unfollowed 2 people. Let's clean it up a little bit. I've done this activity before. It's something that I like to do once a month, once a quarter or so, just to make sure that my inputs stay, on lock. I want every single time I log onto a social media on my phone, I want to have these positive inputs in my life because they subconsciously program your beliefs. What are your guys' thoughts on that or experience with that? Just going through this, did you notice, hey, do you follow a lot of people that don't give me the best content information for my life or what I want? Or are you doing pretty good on that?
What I found is definitely had a few that I had to unfollow, but what's kind of cool is I think Twitter sets it up where the ones you most recently follow are at the top. And it was kind of good kind of scrolling through there that I had to scroll pretty far to get to someone that was actually more of a negative. So it's been all positive stuff for kind of basically since I followed the Default Kings page. And then from then on, then there starts to be some more negative stuff. But yeah, it's definitely, it was kind of eye-opening that I've really only followed positive things for the past about 3 months.
That's awesome. That's an amazing shift right there. That's conscious decision making of who are you following going forward. So you can see a clear shift in there. Once you kind of made a deliberate intention of, hey, my inputs matter to me, my inputs are important to me, and you're doing just that. So that's awesome. How have you found that that's impacted your mindset, your thoughts on a daily basis?
Definitely good. I've made a commitment to limit social media in general. So I have limits set on my phone for 60 minutes for like all social media, which is sometimes still a lot, but that definitely helps. I have a better attitude. A couple of different people I hang out with that are, when we get together, it's just like complain about what's going on in the world, and it's like that conversation has been cut back a lot because I just don't get involved in all that because there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely been more positive, and I've had more of a positive outlook and kind of focusing on things that matter more.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's like truly what it does. The inputs are the start of everything. If you think of kind of like this flow chart where we have inputs is at the top, and it flows down into our thoughts and our beliefs. Our thoughts and our beliefs flow into our actions on a daily basis. Or if we believe X, we're probably going to act in alignment with X. All right. So it's crazy to think about how everything starts with inputs. Might sound crazy, might sound woo-woo, might sound, magical or whatever, but it's the truth. Your inputs impact your thoughts impact your actions. So what else have you guys kind of experienced with this little exercise here? Tom, Jeffrey, David, Vinny, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I was looking at mine, and a lot of the ones I followed, like the ones I unfollowed, were some of like the negative news sources, people that I probably aligned with politically, but they just kind of have a cynical take on everything. So I eliminated those, but the ones I was hesitant to eliminate are like the parody accounts that give me a giggle every once in a while. And so I was wondering like how that I'm trying to like be mindful about how that impacts me, whether that's actually good, it lightens things up for me, or if it's just bringing that same amount of news in my world. I'm gonna have to think about it, but
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. So, all of us here are, men of strong values. We know what, our worldviews are, and that's important to us. But a lot of times, like you said, like the news is just like negative. There's a stat where they ran 91% of all news is negative. So if we're just consuming news on a daily basis, like our thoughts, it could be 91% negative from that, which is crazy. So I've done the same thing in my life. I don't follow the news too closely. Like obviously there's something big going on, like there's an election, I'll take some time, I'll look into things, do what I need to do to make, my informed decision. But I try not to get too consumed with it, because it is just a negative input in your life and something that you don't have control over most of the time. Like they're talking about a war taking place or this going on, and you yourself have 0% control over that thing. And so consuming this and kind of just getting like, you'll feel stressed or anxious or angry about it, of something that you have absolutely no control over. And it makes you frustrated because, obviously you don't like the thing, but you have 0% control. So it puts you in a very bad position. So trying to bring back your focus to things that you do control. How can I be a better man? How can I be healthy? How can I be a better leader for my friends and my family? That's the thing that I think has the most impact in this world, is your actions, and your influence on the people very close to you. That's where the deepest impact takes place, in my opinion.
I had a thought to share too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I've actually gone through a really similar journey as Jeffrey has. Like when I was in college, I was like involved in college politics, like and like did debates and loved all that stuff, and very, very much concerned with the world. And and then since I've graduated a few years ago and like started my family, I don't care about that stuff anymore. Like I still do a little bit. Like I'll read like NPR or something, or like try and find some center of the road news and stay informed. But it's like I've unfollowed all the accounts. I stopped listening to those podcasts, and I'm like so much happier like during my days. It's crazy. Like I don't know, like those media outlets and those podcasts and those groups, they are specifically trying to get people riled up, right? Because that's what gets them views. That's how you get more subscribers, right? Like it's all purposeful, right? And I get it. It's marketing, right? It's like it's just another form of marketing. But I just found like it was not adding value to my life, because how is listening to like CNN or Fox News going to make me a better neighbor or a better father or husband, right? It's not really going to, right? It probably is more negative. And then to your second point, Jeff, I actually like. I found like me trying to figure out, okay, how much value do these parody or meme accounts add to my life too, right? So I've unfollowed like a good amount. I still follow a couple that give me a giggle, but I found that when I like saturated my feed with them, I would do like what people call doom scrolling, right? I'd be up before bed, just like swiping up to, it's almost trying to get like a dopamine hit from these meme accounts, right? And so I found, there's laughter is good, like humor is good. So I still have like, a handful that I follow, but I've unfollowed quite a bit because that used to be my entire feed, right? It was like, it wasn't very productive stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That gives me an idea. Probably delete most of them, but.
Balance and everything, right? You need a healthy dose of humor, but you can't have it dominate.
Absolutely. There's a lot of health benefits to laughter, humor by itself. All right. Stress reliever, peace of mind, happiness in general. So don't try and eliminate all humor from your life. Like, don't become a robot. Never watch, a comedy special again, or never like unfollow all these comedy accounts, meme accounts. You don't have to do that, because there are obviously benefits to it in itself. But become aware. It's just an awareness thing. Is this actually contributing to my life, or is it detrimental in some way? Is this tearing down my mindset where I'm all of a sudden I'm focused on this stuff again all day, stuff that just stresses me out, kind of pisses me off. It comes down to self-awareness, I would say. You guys have any other thoughts on that, like the news or politics? Do you guys have any other thoughts or questions about that come to mind?
Yeah, I used to be the kind of guy, as soon as I woke up, I'd pull out my phone and try to read the news of the day, try to read everything. And at some point I just realized, like, this is the first thing I'm doing in the morning. And it's usually not good news that I'm reading. So yeah, I realized it was having an effect. Stopped reading it every day, like 5 months ago, maybe. And it's been a lot better since I stopped reading it as much. I don't like to go too long without reading it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like 2020 for me, as probably all of us, I was pretty consumed into everything going on with COVID, with the election. There's a lot of things going on that year. So I got really into it. And of course that impacted, my mental health, my mindset. I felt myself just a little bit more stressed, anxious every single day. And big reason behind that was because the news was such a big input for me that year. So ever since then, kind of ending out that year, I changed that input. I minimized it as much as possible. I feel so much at peace every day where, the first input, I'll play some worship music or some of our mixtapes that I made. I don't know if some of you guys may be familiar with it, the power tape, or what's the other one called? I can't remember. But the rap Ascension. Yes, that's one of the other ones. I'll play one of those in the morning. That's my first input for the day. And that's because one thing is when you're first waking up and when you're about to go to sleep, the brain waves in your mind are the most open to suggestion. All right, so that's kind of where you can program your subconscious the most, is when you're just waking up or right before you're going to sleep. So those inputs in those times are crucial. Those are the ones that are going to stick in your subconscious. So become very aware of that first hour of the day and last hour of the day. All right, that's where your brain waves are in that state where they're the most open to suggestion. So keep that in mind with your inputs. I'm curious, what do you guys do as far as those crucial hours right now? What do your inputs look like in that first hour and that last hour?
For me, the first hour's gotten better following the plan, because I'll get up, journal, just sort of embrace the quiet. But it's definitely the last hour that's still a problem with the doom scrolling, the social media, and like I forget who said it, might have been Drew, about setting a timer so that I have a limit for the day. But I have a work phone and a regular phone, so I got the timer on multiple things, because it's been such a habit. I just pick up the phone and start scrolling through things that, like I'm still scrolling through, like unfollowing things, and I've realized, I follow a lot of sports things and baseball. My son plays baseball, but I also follow a lot of news sources that I don't really know what I'm getting from it, other than getting riled up or annoyed or et cetera. So yeah, I think to Jeffrey's point about the parody accounts, like I think some of them get me riled up in the wrong way. So I'm just kind of going through and just unfollowing a lot of those, or all of those really. And then if I really find that, something's missing, I'll go back and follow them later if I truly need it or miss it. As far as the news part, I've learned, taking how many years on Twitter, but setting up lists so I can go and look at something and I don't have to be following them, and it can sort of be off on a different screen. So I have to kind of make two active decisions to go look at that if I really want to.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good one. I've heard I know someone here, they mentioned that they deleted the app. So if they want to go on social media, they have to pull up like the Safari. It's just like uglier, it's clunkier, and it's just more annoying. So that's another thing that you could do.
David, as far as the night routine, what I've been doing that definitely helps is establishing some sort of wind down. So like, come 9 o'clock, I'll set my alarm for the next day and I don't look at my phone anymore. And so then, I'm trying to get in bed, whether you do something like stretch or you meditate. I like to get in bed by 9:30. I'll read for 30 minutes, and it just kind of, I find it naturally relaxes me, get a better night's sleep. Because I used to do the same thing. It's like I'd be on my phone till the second I went to sleep, and it's definitely not ideal. There's obviously lots of studies about not ideal to be looking at screens right before bed, and it messes with your melatonin and all that stuff. So definitely like some sort of wind down routine is vital. I've found.
This is a really important thing. So let's take a minute and let's all jot down what our ideal wind down routine would look like. All right, let's take a minute to think about this and journal out what that looks like for you. All right, let's share some ideas here. What did you guys come up with?
So, I trying to develop the routine. Like I have things in place, like my phone actually turns gray, like grayscale at 9:30.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it doesn't matter like what I'm looking at or whatever, it'll automatically turn black and white. So ideally what I try to do, and this is something that's on my power list and I don't always hit it, but it's, phone and electronics down at 9:30, read, and lights out at 10. Doesn't always happen. It's better than it was, but it's definitely still something working through that, breaking those habits. Some of you don't have quite the inertia of someone like me that's 50 years old, that has some of these habits for a lot longer than some of you more recent college graduates. So it's great that you're jumping on this now. before that inertia really builds up. But I mean, those are kind of the things that I'm really working to make kind of my non-negotiables. And it's not quite non-negotiable because sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But working through those. But I think the biggest thing for me, honestly, has been like figuring out that grayscale with the phone, because like I will like, oh, okay, it's 9:30, and I'll put it down. Now I still have to then stand up and go upstairs, but it's at least the phone goes down, so it's a start.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good. I like to think of like implementing these new habits like this. Like clearly you have the right intentions, you have the goal set in the right direction. Like think of it like you are basically like a missile headed towards its target, and the missile it goes off course a bit, but it has that correction in it, that self-correction. So you're heading towards the target, you go off course, you self-correct, you keep on going back towards the path. That's the same thing that happens when we're building a new habit. All right, it's absolutely normal and natural to go off course, but it's in how do we react to that? How do we self-correct? All right, so you're absolutely on the right path. You have the right target, you have the right intentions, and we're going there. But it takes time to hit that target. So I'm not worried at all about not doing it all the time.
Right.
But what is the great sign is you are doing it sometimes, and that's more than we were doing, a few months ago. That's exactly what we want. So let's continue to take those steps. Like tonight, let's fully commit to doing this wind down routine. Tonight, like fully pre-commit to that right now. Let's do it 9:30 or whatever the time that you said, phones off, and let's head upstairs, do our reading, and lights out by 10.
Yep.
Is there any obstacles that come up for you when the nighttime routine comes up?
Yeah, like you're saying tonight, I'm like, yeah, it's great. And then I just realized like my son, his baseball game is at 6, which means, and it's like on the other side of town. And that means it'll go till, if it's anything like yesterday's game, it'll be like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then I won't even roll in the house until like closer to 10. So I've got it. But the fact that I think about this now, then I need to readjust the approach to the night. And figure out, okay, so what am I going to do as soon as I get home then? Like, how will I have taken care of everything else before I got home? And that's not something I would have ever really thought about before.
Yeah.
But yeah, high school baseball season just puts a complete and total monkey wrench in the daily lives of the surrounding folks.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's okay. That's a part of life.
And that's the important, like that's the non-negotiable is going to watch him play, right?
Absolutely.
He's a senior, like he's going to be leaving in 5 months. God, the countdown's on. It's like spend as much time as possible like supporting him with what he loves, because this is what he's going to be doing next year too. So just far away.
Yeah. That's extremely important. Family is extremely important. So don't put like pressure on yourself to be perfect.
Yep.
With this current situation, this current season of life. Like that's okay if we're 30 minutes later to get to bed. Maybe we don't get the most optimal sleep right now. That's okay. But let's keep on bringing your focus to like, let's do everything in my power with the current situation to do the best I can for this sleep, for this nighttime routine. Place your focus there. You're doing a great job. What other ideas did you guys have for your nighttime routine?
I have the stretch. Like it's kind of they're all really short, like stretch and breathe or meditate. Alex has me starting a breathing routine, which has been nice. But I also added hygiene, because there's often times where I'll brush my teeth, but there's not a focus to it, right? Or I could like, clean up my face a little better, just to kind of call it the end of the day. where I'm just rolling into bed, still feeling like I haven't taken care of everything. I think that last hygiene bit might add to that. And then read. Read has been on my list for years to do, and it's been replaced by things like YouTube or the iPad, watching a movie or something like that. And it's something that's kind of taken away from me.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's like every single habit, every single lethal action starts with one day, one action.
Yeah.
So you think tonight, just tonight, could you commit to reading instead of the YouTube or whatever else?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it's possible. It's having that energy to have the will to remember the commitment, I guess. I get to every night and it's like, yeah, I should read, and then like just one more episode of Battlestar Galactica would be good. But yeah.
Yeah. It's also a dopamine thing, we watch like our favorite show and it's easy, quick dopamine hit. So switching that to something like reading, which is obviously not going to be something that stimulates our dopamine centers the same way, it's going to be tough at first. But over time, if we actually make the switch 1 week, 2 weeks in, we're going to get that same dopamine response from the reading. We're going to look forward to reading as, a way to get dopamine before we go to sleep. So being aware of that the first week or two, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be something that we do have to commit to and follow through the process. But over time, it's going to be that default action. It's going to be where we go for our default dopamine hit.
I'm glad you brought up the hygiene point, because I would also add that I think the most important thing is, like, with the nighttime routine, it doesn't need to be something hard. I would more so frame it as, you can work your way up, but make the priority to be present. So like, I used to be so hooked on cheap dopamine. As I'm brushing my teeth, I'd probably be scrolling on my phone. And like you said, like, are you even doing a good job? So like, whatever it is, just focus on being present, whether that's cleaning yourself up, focus on it, do it well. And like, there will be you'll get a better dopamine hit having like accomplished that. And you'll feel more relaxed. So like, if reading is too much, it's like, oh, I'm too tired. Like, just start somewhere. I would say just start with like some sort of being present, whether that's talking to your kids or whatever. Just start anywhere. Just focus on like doing one thing, one thing at a time, versus like multitasking or watching YouTube videos. Because like with the YouTube videos, I mean, personally, I find like if I'm watching a bunch of short videos, especially, way overstimulated after. So like, is it helping? Probably not.
Yeah, that I agree 100%. We like these routines, morning or evening, like we shouldn't make them complex. They shouldn't be anything too crazy, like a 2-hour routine, where people do like in the morning, kind of those jokes that you see people have. Cold shower, 5 minutes, journal for 30 minutes, affirmations, XYZ, and it goes on forever. We don't have to do that. We don't want to do that. Something like, I would just start with one thing that we're trying to implement. So if you wrote down 3 things on our list for our ideal nighttime routine, just start with one tonight. All right, just take that step towards that target. All right, set your intention towards that target, and you're going to find it's going to be easier to start to build towards that dream, that ideal routine, just starting with one, just giving it, like, we just have to put our foot in the door. We just have to take that step there. So I love that you brought that up. Vinny, are you walking or running right now? Sounds like you're a little bit out of breath.
I am running, getting these steps on 2 times
Always.
speed.
Vinny's always moving.
Just got my 10K. My wrist just vibrated. Let's go.
There we go. Boom.
It's like 27 degrees out here. I feel like David Goggins. Let's get it.
I love it. I love it. Where are you guys' steps out for the day so far? I know we got this 10K step challenge. This is day 1. Let me see where I'm at.
Halfway there, 5,000 so far.
That's good.
It's only 9:30 though, so.
Yeah. I got 6.7K so far. It's 11:30 here, so a little bit later in the day.
I didn't think I would have you beat, Jack. I got 85.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I got zero sleep last night. I kept having ideas popping in my head that I wanted to, wake up and start writing, working on. And the time just kept on flying by. Like 5 o'clock, when it got to 5, I was like, all right, I guess I'm not going to sleep today. Went out for the walk around 6:45, came back by 8:30, something like that. Got steps in.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, these are the real test days. Those days where you don't get to sleep, the days where you're tired, you don't feel like it. This is the day you're going to look back on tonight. When you do go to sleep, you're going to go to sleep proud, and you're going to know, hey, I can execute no matter what. All right.
Yeah.
So you're crushing it, man. You're beating me. You're doing your thing. That's amazing.
Doing good.
Love it. Love it. I have a good question for you guys. I'm curious on this. Do you have any like good inputs that you guys have in your life? People that you follow that's like super positive input or a great source of information, content in your life?
I mean, my go-to besides, Jack and Gabe and Joey is definitely Jocko. Like I've read all of his books multiple times, and that dude is a symbol of consistency, right? Every day the last like 5 years, he's posted a picture of his watch at like 4:30 something, in the morning. Not saying you have to get up that early, but anytime I'm feeling sorry for myself, I'll plug in his podcast, or I'll listen to some of his audiobooks, or just scroll his socials, and I'm like, all right, it's time to get going. So that's probably my go-to.
Love it. Jocko's a man. I know Goggins was mentioned. He's another good one. He's crazy. He does some crazy stuff.
That Joey Swole dude on Twitter.
Oh yeah. I've seen him.
He's a dude. Like watching his stuff. He's not shit talking, but he's addressing certain gym etiquette,
Yeah. He'll say it's on his mind. He'll say what he thinks the truth is. Sweet. Today was a good call, really productive, I think. All right, the big thing I want you guys to bring more awareness of is those inputs. Because we don't realize it, but it's subconsciously programming our thoughts and our beliefs 24/7. So continue to be aware of this with the people that you follow. Also, music that you listen to, podcasts, radio, whatever you listen to, whatever you watch. Obviously, you don't have to be a robot with it. You don't have to cut off all entertainment, no Netflix, no movies, and nothing like that. But become aware of it because it is programming us 24/7. Do you guys have anything else to add before we wrap today's up? Any questions or anything else on your mind regarding inputs or the nighttime or morning routines?
Well, Jack, it'd be interesting to hear who some of your inputs are, like who you follow.
Absolutely. Tyler Totes, one of my good friends. I would absolutely shoot him a follow on Twitter. Let me see who else are my favorites here.
I know Jack unfollowed 2 people earlier. Did you unfollow me, bro?
Shouldn't have. Let me take a look at this. Let's see. I don't take in too many people, honestly. Let me see. Another one, an interesting one. These guys are a little bit crazy, but the Lambros. So their name is Frazzle Dazzled is one of them, and then Ruby, Deja Ru on Twitter. So they're very unique individuals, but the beliefs that they spread are really good, I think, very positive for your success and for your mind. So that's a unique one right there.
Did you say Deja Ru?
Yeah, let me drop
He's
his
not
ad.
that Paul Rue guy, is he?
The who?
Paul Rue, the fucking drag race shit.
No, that can't be him. That's his, that's his ad. I just dropped in the chat there. He is a very interesting individual. He's not into drag, or I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but other ones, I'll make a book recommendation. This is my all-time favorite book. Let me see where it is. Psycho-Cybernetics, must read. If you've not read this book, absolutely do it. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. This is what we base a lot of this program off of, actually. It talks a lot about self-identity, self-image, and basically, headline of the book: new technique for using your conscious
Yeah,
power.
can you hold closer to the camera? You hold it up and it's
My bad.
blurry.
My bad.
All right. Now it's too close. All right. Who's the author? I can't see.
Let me type this out. All right.
Thank you.
Boom. All right. Psycho-Cybernetics. Yeah, those are the big ones. If any more come to mind, I'll drop them in the chat. Andy Furcell is another good one. His podcasts, he goes on some rants sometimes on his podcasts. Great guy. Yeah. Do you guys have any other big ones that you want to add?
Do a shout out to my coach's podcast, Alex. He's got a good podcast too. Got some cool guests on there.
Yeah. Alex is the man. He's got that high energy. Every time I speak to him, feel fired up.
Exactly.
I got to make sure the volume's down when he sends me the video messages.
Exactly.
Whoa.
For sure.
That's funny. Oh man.
Is that from the sound of him talking or him slogging the eggs raw?
Oh God, yeah, I'm not watching any of those videos. That's insane.
Yeah,
I'll
that's just
add
crime.
a note on the media stuff from earlier because I think it's important. Like, I'm always trying to find the balance between you want to stay informed with what's going on in the world, and obviously, I think 90% of the news is a waste of time because the reality is there's just not stuff constantly important enough to be discussed. So once you realize like the media, their business model is all about, enraging and getting you to click and clickbait and as we've seen the last few years are indicative of like the media, it's in their best interest to have a constant crisis, right? So because it benefits their pockets. But I've been trying to find the balance here because and it ties directly back to what I do. Like I'm an investor, and I actually found I used to read the Wall Street Journal every day, and the more of this daily stuff I consumed, it was actually negatively affecting my performance. Like I cut it entirely because I was getting way too caught up in like short-term nonsense, right? Because that's all most of it is. And so just think how that applies to the rest of your life. If you're constantly inputting this stuff, it's not making you happy. Like someone mentioned earlier, it's always, it's never, positive news. So it's only like negatively affecting you. So, one thing I try and do is like, there's a couple programs I'll watch that are like once a week, and they'll have guests on, or like podcasts are great just to like actually hear a discussion. If you want to keep up with what's going on, there's definitely better ways to go about it versus just every day, and obviously a lot of that comes down to who you're following too. And I think there's also a level where you just need to determine like what is bringing you value versus what's just a distraction, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, we have to realize that every single input, whether it's the news, someone we follow on social media, they're projecting their perception of the world to us. And their perception isn't, necessarily correct. Their perception isn't necessarily beneficial to us. So, be aware of that. Perception equals our reality of the world, for better or for worse. So if we're watching the news 24/7, they're projecting this perception to us. They want us, they're saying, hey, this is how the world is, this is what's going on. And that's going to, infect our thoughts and our beliefs. We're going to start to see that world in whatever view that they give us. So becoming aware of that. All right, what perception do we hold of the world? It's crazy how poor, how negative that can be if you follow some of these news outlets or some of these certain accounts. You will absolutely get infected with the victim virus, the victim mentality, and see the world that way. And it's not a good spot to be. You guys feeling good today? Feeling ready to crush the rest of the day?
I'm freaking amped, man. Let's go. I'm gonna unfollow everyone on social media. Except for-
Unfollow
except for every default king. All you guys. That's all I need.
There we go.
Yeah.
Unfollow everyone.
Yep.
Perfect.
Always read the comments on the default king posts. Those are always pretty funny. Once Jack and Gabe and Joey all comment on each other's stuff, that's good.
Jack's Twitter persona is a little more direct and hardcore than he is here on the calls. Shows a little more grace on the calls.
Dude, the replies to Jack's post, they kill me, man. You
Exactly.
trigger so many people. It's hilarious. Like, or if
I'm
you
a
guys
kind
will
guy.
if you guys post a picture of you smoking cigars, the whole world freaks out. It's so funny. It's like the keyboard warriors come out. So
If only the world knew I'm such a kind guy.
yeah.
You're direct.
That's funny. That is funny. Well, that's amazing. Let's have an amazing rest of today. It's Tuesday. Let's get after it. I'm about to get my lift in. Let's get those steps in, 10K step challenge. Let's make sure we crush this. It's day one. We got to start strong. We got to finish strong. And let's get 1% better today. Let's do it. All right. I will
Good
talk
job,
to you all soon. Peace.
Good one.
Have a good one.